like I said, it's very efficient, 141. So I don't really expect too much movement either. I like to attack that prop market. It's what I do. Tons of options, by the way. These sports books now compared to 5 years
Yeah.
ago, even
Yeah.
there's 100 props on tonight's game. So I'm going to look towards the big man. Juwan Roberts going over 10.5 points. Roberts should play 35 minutes in this one. I would think something like that. As long as he can avoid any foul trouble or any kind of, I think this can go over. And years ago, I was an under guy. I played under on most of my props because it was built in, a little bit of an advantage to bet under. Everyone bets overs. Now you could bet over on prop bets, though. There's so many different
Yeah.
ways to bet the props over under on different things on points, assists, rebounds. I just think Florida's coach over there, he doesn't like to double down really. I'm sorry, he just doesn't like the down low. He doesn't like the double team, I should say, double down. My mind is always on blackjack and card counting. I'm sorry. But yeah, so yeah, he just doesn't like to like down low. So I just think that
Yeah.
they're going to be focused more on Houston's outside shooters. So Robert should be able to get some one-on-one work in the post there. I like the points to go over. And you know what? This could be a tight game back and forth. So don't just think that automatically, oh, this is going to be a blowout. So maybe they're going to, slow the game down. This could be more back and forth than people think. As a matter of fact, not that I'm betting it, but if I see all these Jinxie Jonas keep on talking about Florida, I may have to go the other way just for a GP bet, general principle. So there you
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's case by case, but however, all these new sports books that came to this country 7 years ago, they offer so many different types of bets and a lot of different ways to bet first five. I see back in Jersey when I'm there, those books are offering first three, inning by inning. So there's more interest in betting other ways to get to the game rather than baseball. Not that it's so efficient because it's every day. It's hard to put up a unique number on 12, 13 games. But there's many different ways to get at a game. I love betting first fives personally because, like the first half of a college basketball game, it's a pure number. You're literally handicapping starting pitchers versus starting pitcher. You don't have to worry about middle relief or even bullpens. Usually they get through the first five. You're just looking to handicap those starters. And, I'll just tell you, Major League Baseball is going on every day. It's a grind. You have to be committed to it. Listen, I know people expect to win every day at something or even every week. It's not going to happen. But I'll tell you this, though. By the end of the season, though, I have had really great success betting almost every single sport, including baseball. So we scour the entire Major League Baseball board for plus EV games. Well, these teams played right out of the box a 3-game series. San Fran took 2 or 3 in Cincinnati. The Reds pitcher Hunter Green struck out 8 in only 5 innings work. That was opening day, so he showed he had some elite stuff. And it's you got to remember the weather on these games too. I know people think like, oh, it's baseball season. They think of baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, hot outside. Boy, some of these games, especially like back east, it's freezing out there. The Cubs played in 35-degree weather the other day too. The Oracle, though, is more of a pitcher-friendly park, especially night games. This one goes at 6:45 p.m. Eastern time. I like Green to go a little bit deeper than 5 innings in this game. I'm actually looking to take his over strikeouts over 6.5 in this one for the full game. You know what? That's something that literally that prop market on strikeouts didn't come out till a few years ago. So I just don't think the sports books could be efficient at all of these type of props when they have to make up 60, 70 different bets for one game. And it shows that I'm having a good prop season already on pitching props and different type of baseball props. We're going to beat that market. I'm just glad you guys are allowed to bet that stuff because for some reason these sports books, I'm being funny for some reason, these sports books like to throw me out. I'm thrown out of many sports books in this town and nationwide. I'm not allowed to be on apps. I get thrown out of sports books for one thing, for using my brain. So these people can get at these over 6.5 strikeouts.
That from the Houston perspective, total high.
In fact, they've had only 2 games all year where the total closed higher than 141.5. Interestingly enough, Prez, both of those went over. This is the second. There was the second round game against Gonzaga here in the NCAA tournament. That was an 81-76 win. The total there closed 142, so not much higher. And then there was a game early in the season versus Alabama where the total closed 150, and it ended up 85-80. Note that game did go to overtime, but was tied 78-78 at the end of regulation, so it would have gone over even without the extra 5 minutes. From the Florida perspective, the total is, of course, pretty low. In fact, even at the current number, we've seen a dip there, as you see on the screen. It's still the second lowest total for any Gators game this season. The lowest, very early in the season against a Virginia team, Prez, that we know plays slow, is offensively challenged. That total was 133, and it flew over, though. Florida won 87-69 in that one. So all of that, I bring it up because it makes for an interesting handicap, right? On one hand, you've got a high total. One hand, you've got a low total from the team's perspective. I will say this. The way you play the total is probably going to be correlated with how you view the side here. Houston winning, probably more conducive to an under. Florida winning, probably more conducive to the game going over. But regardless of who you like, for me, it does seem that this game's more likely to stay under the total. Houston, number 1 in the country, defensive rating per KenPom, number 1 in points allowed per game. They also play 5th slowest tempo in the country. I also think this could be the key. Watch this, because we saw it late in the game. You brought up the Duke game at the outset, Prez. Houston's ability to pressure the ball, I think, gives Florida problems here. The 2 big guys against Auburn, they kept picking up their dribble. Sometimes they got away with it. They're not going to get away with it if they keep doing that here against Houston. And I know Florida had the 11-0 overrun, Prez, before the game against Auburn, where, again, I had the under in that game and cashed it. But Florida can defend. They're a top 10 defensive rating team at KenPom as well. The key is going to be limiting Houston's threes. This is something that's not talked about enough. Houston's number 1 in the country in three-point shooting percentage, 39.9%. But even if they're making them, it's always a low volume, Prez. You got to understand that. Houston, despite having the number 1 three-point percentage, 281st in attempts per game, 139th in makes per game. So even if they're shooting a high percentage, you're not going to get a ton of threes. Florida did just hold Auburn to 28% from behind the arc. It's not my favorite bet for tonight. My favorite bet is on the side. Again, you can get that at wt.buzz/pp. But if I had to play the total, I would go under on this one. Enough, Prez. I've actually won 2 games going against Miami since the All-Star break. One of them was just the other night on Saturday, my only NBA play over the weekend. I faded them at home against Milwaukee. Got a little lucky with that game going to overtime, but of course, I will take the win. Prez, I like to think at least that you want to be on the show, not just to talk about the big game, but because you also know deep in your heart, I am the only person alive who would come on here, look the people in the eye, and make a case for betting Philadelphia here. Look, I know it's been a disastrous season for Dan Alexander's team. You got Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey all out for the season with injuries. Teams eliminated from playoff contention. They should be ashamed of themselves in the depth-shy East of that. And on top of all that, they've lost 11 straight games. They'd also failed to cover 9 in a row before the last one where they cashed plus 16.5 against Minnesota. But look, Prez, this number's come down a little bit this morning. It was 14.5. I still think it's too many points for the Heat to be laying against anybody. It wasn't that long ago. Miami was on a 10-game straight-up losing streak themselves. Tonight marks just the second time this season, guys, that Miami's a double-digit favorite. The first time, all the way back on December 12th, and they did not cover. My strongest play, I played against Miami twice in recent weeks. The first was, or the most recent being Saturday against Milwaukee. The other time, early in March, they were -9 here at home against a Charlotte Hornets team that looked dead in the water. The Hornets won the game outright as 9-point underdogs. I assume the Heat are going to win here. They need wins to improve their standing in the play-in tournament, but just too many points, Prez, backing the dog out of sheer principle. Yeah. This one is atrociously ugly. Hold your nose. Grab those points in Philadelphia.
Move on. What do you got for us in tonight's college basketball game?
Gonna look at some player props, Prez. We just listened to Power give us the winning total, and I do agree with the sentiment. And you know it, Prez. If it's a championship game, a Game 7 in the NHL or the NBA or college basketball, the under is worth a look always. And I will say over the last 15 years, the average combined points total in a college basketball final is roughly 135 points. So when I see this total at 141 and a half available, I'm leaning toward the under, but that's got me looking at some player props because if there's less points to go around, if it's going to be a defensive battle as Power outlined for us, it's going to be hard for some of these guys to put up these big numbers. And a lot of these points totals are inflated. I'm looking at the leading scorer for the Florida Gators, Walter Clayton Jr. His points total sits at 18.5. And he averaged 15.5 or 16.5 this season. I had it written down. I can't see it here now. But he's coming off back-to-back 30-point games, so the number's a little bit inflated. And, you know, the Gators have played a lot of high-scoring games. They've gone over the total in 9 of their last 10 games. We're not expecting that high score here against the number 1 ranked defense in the country. And if I'm looking for a comparable situation for Walter Clayton Jr., the Gators did play Tennessee twice. Now, Tennessee's defense isn't quite as good as Houston's, but they're pretty good, the best in the SEC. Against Tennessee in the regular season, 2 games, 13 points. Yeah. That's not 13 points per game. That's 13 combined points. They did have a conference tournament game against Tennessee as well. So in the 3 games, he averaged 13 points total against Tennessee. It's going to be tough for him to get past 18 points here against Houston. So I'm going to go under his points total, Walter Clayton Jr.
And conversely, you like Cryer, LJ, over 22.5 PRAs, points, rebounds, and assists. Tell us why.
Yeah, well, I was going with the same theory, thinking I want to go under on some of these inflated numbers, but I'm looking at his number, and the 22.5 just seems a little bit too low. The guy averaged 15.6, 2.3 rebounds, and 2 assists in the regular season, but he was averaging 32 minutes a game. Well, he played 40 minutes against Duke, 38 and 37 in the previous 2 games. He's probably going to play between 38 and 40 minutes in this game. And he's getting more rebounds and more assists. And that PRA compared to his points total isn't as much higher as it should be. And because of that, I like Cryer to go over that number. I think if he doesn't get to his points total, that just means he'll get a few more rebounds and make up for it. So I like Cryer to go over 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists in this game.
This is, I think this is one of the best games over the next couple of days. Some people will say that could be Inter versus Bayern Munich, but when it comes to Champions League, Real Madrid are the royalty of Champions League, 15-time winners, defending champions. Carlos Ancelotti, the Italian manager, always has his teams competing in these knockout stages and in these quarterfinals and finals. This is one of those ones where you look at the opening line and or the line right now, and Arsenal's plus 133 at home, Real Madrid's plus 215. The total sits here at 2.5 right now. But some money is coming in on the under, and that's what I want to look at as far as this game goes. No one likes playing unders in soccer, but normally leg one of these quarterfinals and semifinals, because the teams are so good, it is a much tighter affair. You look at Arsenal throughout this competition, and they have been very good defensively. They've been good defensively as a whole all season long. In the Premier League, which is the best league in Europe, 10-4-1, only 1 loss at home, 30-12 goal differential, allowing 0.8 goals per game at home. During the group stages of this Champions League tournament, they played 4 home games, outscoring their opponents 9-0, 4 clean sheets. They definitely play, and that comes with having a very good midfield. A couple injuries to their back line, but the Italian Calafiore, I wouldn't have had him in the starting lineup. He's more of an attacking, back for this Arsenal team. They get Saka back, which is a big thing. He was rested on the weekend, came in for a few minutes in their draw against Everton on Saturday morning. You look at Real Madrid of late. They're struggling. They lose at home in an upset loss at home this past weekend, losing 2-1, and it's back-to-back losses for them as well too. On the road this season, at least in Champions League play, 2-2 on the road during the group stages. When you look at this team, they are loaded with talent. Mbappe, Vinny Jr. up front, Bellingham, a great attacking. It is the midfield and the back line right now with injuries to this team, and it's been this way all season long. Mendy, Carvalho, Militao, Ceballos missing. Luka Modric, the Croatian midfielder, 39 years old, could actually start this game. This is one of those ones where I think that Real Madrid tries to get any type of a result, come home where they are so much better. Under 2.5 seems like the right play for me. This looks like one of those 1-0, 1-1 type games that will be decided in a week's time back in Spain where they play in Madrid. So under 2.5 is the play here.